What's going on, everybody? This is your boy Derek D. Wild, man. And today we're following up off my last video, how to destroy a National Master in 13 moves. I told y'all guys that I'm doing a series, and it's called hashtag my road to expert breaking 2000. And once I achieve that goal, it's going to be the road to National Master. Last game and last video, I gave you a game I played against National Master Manus, a 2200 that I defeated in 13 moves with precision tactical play. In this game, I got paired up with a 1500 player, Richard Mosley. And the reason I'm going over this game is because I coach also, and I always tell my players to always develop their pieces. I always tell my players, fight for the center knights before bishops get castle, and develop your pieces. Um, Always develop your pieces uh first before you attack. Unless you have a guaranteed win. And this game is an example of that. This tournament was played again at All the King's Men at an Action Quad tournament. I think the time control was game of 45 with a 5-second delay. I was paired with the white pieces. I think this is my second game of me playing D4. I'm fluctuating, trying to figure out the openings. So make sure you hit the like, subscribe button. Hope you enjoy my channel. And I'm looking forward to bringing you good content. Like you said, this is the road to breaking expert. I'm sharing this with you. As you can see, I came in this tournament. I did good in this tournament. I think this tournament I did 2 out of 3, and I lost to Manny. And then I'm going to show the game I lost to Manny soon, because it's not fair for me to post the game where I beat him in 13 moves, and not posting the game where actually he beat me first. So let's get the game started. As you can see, so I play D4, trying to play more positional. I used to be, like I said before, I used to be an E4 player pretty much all my life, but as you get older, you understand strategic build-ups and playing more positional chess. D4, he plays D5. I answer with C4. Uh, C4, if you don't know, this is starting off as the Queen's Gambit. You know what I'm saying? Black has many options. He could take the pawn, play the Queen's Gambit, accepted. He could play Knight C6. It's so many lines, but it's pretty much a slow build up. But one thing I can say about the Queen's Gambit, in my opinion, if the position gets open, it can also be an a very attacking game. Like you said, D4 has been pretty much played by a lot of top players: Kasparov, Magnus, Anand, Karpov. So I'm trying to like you said, be more balanced and more positional. My opponent played like you said, D5. He answered with C6. C6 is a very strong move. It's the Slav or slave, however you pronounce it. We say the slave opener. There's different variations of it. It's the semi-slave, breaking off to different variations. And what this does is this supports the pawn on D5, kind of looking like a Caro-Kann defense against the E4 pawn. I develop my piece, Knight C3, Knight F6. Like you said, this is typical development. All this is book. I play Knight F3. He plays DXC4. DXC4 is a book line. It is a book line. And what I saw, I can answer with E4. I can answer with E3. I can answer with A4. This is a book line, because when this line is played, uh, that lets me know that black is kind of giving up the center, and he has the option of either trying to keep the pawn on B5 or give it away for counterplay on the queen side. So here I was kind of stuck. I took a long think, because like you said, this is my first time playing D4 in a while. So I was trying to figure out, is I'm gonna play A4, is I'm gonna play E3, because you have these moves, you know what I'm saying? I could try to get my pawn back immediately. So what I did was I play A4. And the reason I play A4 is because if E3 is played, he could kind of play B5 and hold the pawn. And even though like you said, I'm getting used to this, I didn't want to I just felt like me playing this tournament, game of 45. I didn't really want to be like down the pond, even though this is a 14, 1500 player. He may know the opening line better than me. So I played A4. And the reason I played A4 is because my next move will probably be like E3, hitting the pawn on C4. If he played like A6, I'm trying to play B5, probably A5 next or something. So A4 preventing B5. My opponent plays Bishop G4. Bishop G4 is a good move, in my opinion. This is. I think this is book. I believe this is book. This is book. Let me look at the engine. Yeah, this is standard stuff. And this is where, like you said, my theme and my thumbnail is called 911. I can't believe my opponent played this BS. And the reason I said that because I tell a lot of my students to always develop your pieces. The reason I tell a lot of my students to develop your pieces because I also tell people chess is like a race. The faster you can get developed, the faster you can get an attack. And what happened in this game is I had developed all my pieces and got castled. And while I was already developed, my opponent wasn't developed. So it was so hard for him to stop my attack. Basically, it was like I was fighting him with four hands while he had two. And I was just, pretty much slapping him around. So I hope you take heed to this, my subscribers, my followers, even the ones who ain't, and learn something from this game. So Bishop G4, I played knight E5. The reason I played knight E5 is because I'm hitting the bishop and I'm hitting the pawn on C4, kind of like a double edge move. Uh, Hypothetically, I could play like knight G4, E4, something like that, hitting the pawn on C4. So, came up with that plan. He went bishop H5. This is where I'm not saying I made a novelty, but it got kind of interesting what I was trying to come up with. So he keeps the bishop on H5. And the reason he keeps the bishop on H5 is kind of preventing me from pushing the E pawn, as you can see, hitting C4. So I'm at the board and I'm going over the board. I'm analyzing and I say, well, I could play F3 and E4, build the center, and then hit the pawn. Then I sat there and thought about another plan. And I played this move G3. And the reason I played G3 is because in chess, your plans is always changing. So actually, I apologize. When I play G3, I'm changing my plans. My bishop is not going to attack C4. I could take C4 now if I wanted to. I'm going to put the bishop, fianchetto the bishop on G2 castle, and start pretty much playing my middle game. I may play B3, open this up, and play on the B file. This is where I cannot believe my opponent played these moves. He played this move knight D5. And when he played knight D5, it threw me for a loop. But it also made me get an understanding from my opponent that he didn't have a feel of what's going on. A lot of times when you play chess, you play your opponents and they play certain moves and you understand he doesn't know what's going on or he doesn't understand the position. He has moved this knight twice for no reason. I mean, what's the point of putting the knight on D5? I'm not going to trade. Me being white, I'm not going to trade and, help you straighten out your pawns. No, I'm not going to do that. He should be trying to develop his pieces and get castled. So now it's like he's a tempo down. So after knight D5, I play bishop G2, hitting the knight, and then he plays knight C3. Now I want my followers, subscribers to look. The knight has went from F6, just pay attention, F6 to D5 to C3. He's moved that knight three times. And them three times he could have got his pieces developed. He could have got his bishop out. He could have played E6, bishop B4. He could have put a knight on knight 8 to D7. I mean, it was so much he can do. And this shows me at the board, over the board, that my opponent doesn't really excuse me, I'm gonna say not know what he's doing, but he doesn't have a feel of what's going on. And I think this is key. With a lot of lower rated players, they don't be understanding the position. So BXC3, I take immediately. He plays Queen A5. Queen A5. Attacking the pawn on C3. Attacking the pawn on C3. Queen A5. And then I play this move right here, I castle. So I'm gonna take a time out and give y'all a minute to study this position. And I just want to tell y'all to look at the position and what has changed in the last few moves. I have knight on e5, I have a bishop on g2, I'm castled. My bishop right here has an open diagonal. This rook right here has an open file. That's how I see the position. Look at my opponent position. 1, 2, 3, 4. He has 4 pieces not developed, and he's going after this pawn, going after the pawn. This guy, my opponent, has no plan, and my chess coach used to tell me a bad plan is better than no plan at all. And it's pretty much like we have a saying up here that you don't know the forest from the trees, and I'm getting the feeling that my opponent doesn't know the forest from the trees, because now I'm castled. My king is safe. His king is still in the center. My bishops have open files to go to, and I'm developed. So I can start attacking. This c4 pawn doesn't even matter at the moment. So after I castle, my opponent grabs queen c3. Wow. Take some more time, give you a few minutes, study the position. Queen c3. 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 pieces not developed, but he has 1, 2. I have 1, 2. This bishop can go here, rook here. So now after he grabbed this pawn on c3, he's so far behind in development. I already knew the game because he's not going to be able to stop my attack. He has too many problems to solve. I'm going to be attacking. He's going to be trying to get his pieces developed, and I should win this game. And that's what happened. I played rook b1, immediately putting pressure on the b7 pawn. As you can see, if he plays pawn b6, c6 becomes weak. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like this that separates lower rated players from higher rated players. He plays f6. Now, this is where the game, I'm going to say, could have got complicated on my end, because I actually looked at, and I didn't play it, and I'm going to turn the engine on for you guys. But it was a line in there where I looked at playing not yeah, I think the line was g4. I looked at playing g4, and g4, as you can see, is a winning move. They got white winning. I apologize, by like 4.7 or something, but I didn't. I played knight f3, and the reason I played knight f3 is because I didn't want to get the position too complicated where I can't analyze it myself. Even though I'm a higher rated player, sometimes you don't want to make the position so wild where your opponent can hit you with a counter shot and mess you up. So I just bring my knight back to f3 because I still have the lead in development. Now he has a hold on the on the king side, and like you said, his piece is not developed, and I have pressure on the b file. I play knight f3, bishop f3, bishop f3. I think bishop f3 was a bad move, but he's behind in so many tempos. He didn't pretty much like have no plan. And now after bishop f3, we trade off the knight, the bishop for the knight. I think my opponent realized, whoa, I did something wrong. My king need to be castled. I need to get developed, but it's too late now. He plays e6. The reason he plays e6 is because he's trying to get developed. I play rook x b7, free pawn. Anytime you get a rook on the 7th, you're doing something right. I have a rook on the 7th file, and it's not even in the end game. So I'm really, really winning. He plays bishop e7. I play bishop f4. Bishop f4 with a tempo, hitting the knight on b8 twice. This is why I tell my students to develop, and get castled for situations like this. And for a lot of you players that's beginners, and probably I'll just say under 1400, this is a good game for y'all. So after I play bishop f4, hitting the bishop, I mean, hitting the knight. Also, this is being attacked because if the knight on d7 move, he drops c6. So he plays this move e5, cutting off my bishop. I take, he take. And I'm gonna tell a lot of people out here, a lot of times your opponent has a bad position, tactics will automatically come. His position is so bad that I have a tactic that I recognize immediately. And the reason I was able to play this tactic is because of lack of development. So I'm gonna give y'all a few minutes and I'm just gonna point to these squares and I want you to pay attention. Give you a few minutes and let's see, do you recognize the tactic I played? Okay, gave you a few seconds. I said a few minutes, but it's a few seconds. That's what I was meaning to say. I played bishop xc6. It really looks like I'm giving away a piece, but I'm not giving away a piece because after bishop c6, what happens is if this knight takes, my queen comes down to the 7th, check, supported by the rook, and it's going to be held to tell the captain. So what my opponent did was knight c6, check, queen d7, king f7, king f7, protecting uh, the bishop on e7 and also playing c6. Now during this time, I had to make a decision. I'm still winning the game. I can take this knight and let him take on f4, but I just play bishop g5. And the reason I play bishop g5 is because when you have a pin piece, it's always good to put pressure on the pin piece. As you can see, the bishop is attacked 3 times, protected twice, but this knight is being attacked. So it's double attack, and black cannot protect both pieces at the same time. And I have a saying that I tell my students, and I tell them, you putting a pin on somebody is, just say hypothetically, I give you a 10-pound book, and you'll be able to hold that book. And I give you another 10-pound book. You'll be able to hold that. But the more 10-pound books I give to you stacking up on your hand, you're going to drop the book. So I play bishop g5, putting pressure on the bishop on e7 while the knight on c6 is loose. He plays rook he8 because he really doesn't care about the knight on c6. He wants to protect the bishop because it's closer to the king side. I play queen xc6, give my piece back. My opponent plays rook d8. I come back to c7, putting the pressure on the bishop again. He plays rook c8, queen d7. The reason I played queen d7, just trying to slide my queen to f5. He didn't see it. He played rook d8, queen f5 check, king g8. Take another second to look at what's going on. My opponent has now dropped a piece because the bishop had to move back to g8, getting off the f8 square. Rook x e7, rook x e7, bishop x e7, rook d8, bishop d6, and my opponent resigned. I think this was a good instructive game for players 1400 and under, and I want y'all to, when y'all look at this game, to remember to develop your pieces. Fight for the center, knights before bishops, get castle. It's a reason there's 3 phases of the game: opening, middle game, and end game. And what happened in this game is my opponent was being greedy and trying to grab pawns and not develop. When you're not developed and your opponent's is developed, you're fighting at a handicap. It's like fighting somebody that got 6 hands and you got 2. It's like boxing somebody with your hand behind your back. They have the advantage. They're going to have more artillery, more weapons to throw at you. This your boy Derek D. Wild, man. I hope y'all enjoy this video. Like you said, this is my road to expert. Once I break that, we're going to start the road to national master. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Follow the YouTube channel. I'm on my path to 1K subscribers. Peace, blessings. I'm out, and I hope y'all enjoy the stream.